Hi, everybody, and welcome to AWS reInvent 2024 with Myer Media and Emma, your go-to cloud management platform. Now, today we're talking about enhancing multi-cloud cost management and FinOps integration with Emma. Joining us today is Dimitri, the CEO and founder of Emma, and also Matthias, who's the Chief Product Officer at Emma. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I really appreciate this.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having us. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, John.
All right, before we kind of get into the meats of this conversation, I got to tell everybody, you have some awesome things happening at the booth. So booth number 1382, they have an Apple iPad Air 3 prize giveaway. There's a QR code. We got some cool poker chips that we made for them. You got to come over to the booth and check these things out. They also have $10 Amazon gift card voucher that's happening. You go to the prize site, you swipe it off your finger. If you win, go out and show it up. But that's not really what it's all about. You know what, Matthias, talk to me a little bit. Why are you trying to drive people to your booth?
Well, we're a multi-cloud management platform, and we really want to, engage people, show people of what we can do, right? First time for us being here, and we're really super happy to be here. And we just want to drive our, idea of getting cloud agnostic and just use the cloud wherever it's possible.
First time in the history of mankind for a Luxembourgish company, I would say.
I like it. So this is your first time to Vegas or first time for reInvent?
First time for reInvent.
Yeah.
And again, we're a Luxembourgish company, so we are from Europe, from Luxembourg. And for the Luxembourg, it's the very first time in the mankind history when someone attends reInvent as a gold sponsor, so this is important.
Yeah, and the gold sponsor, that's awesome to have you guys here. I got to ask you real quick, what's your first impression of reInvent?
It's crazy as always, right? You come here and it's Vegas. I mean, especially from a European point of view, it's always crazy. But just the folks and the vibes all around. There was someone asking me, saying yesterday in the elevator, saying, "Oh my God, all these reInvent folks, they look like folks like Boy Scouts." I was like, "Okay, the nerds are here, right? So bring it on." I love that.
Different teams, same T-shirts, yeah, all this stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's so many people. It's a lot to take in. It's the largest learning conference in the world. I've never seen so many people register for the event, but it's all about the community, the in-person interaction, the conversations that you're going to have that when you have them remote, they just don't feel as natural when you're here in person. Matthias, I'm going to jump to you. What is Emma?
So Emma is a multi-cloud management platform. In essence, what we're trying to do, what we're doing is helping folks managing different cloud providers, different services from cloud providers, right? Whether it's AWS and their services and augmenting them with other services, or you're coming from another cloud going to AWS. Everything at the same time. It's like we're trying to reduce the complexity of going through the different cloud providers and just making them accessible for everyone.
Or streamline the way different companies interact with different cloud service providers. So basically that's what we do.
Dimitri, is it single cloud, multi-cloud, cloud agnostic?
It's agnostic. So basically we believe that people, they should never care about the underlying infrastructure. They just need to run their applications, and these applications should be up and running 24/7 and scaling however these applications require without any need of a particular infrastructure underneath.
So not caring where or what they're using as long as their application or business is running.
Yeah,
Exactly.
true.
Don't a lot of other companies kind of do that or try to or claim that they do that though? I like this. He's like, go on to you.
No, I mean, there's a big difference, right? So there are a lot of companies who claim that they do multi-cloud management. But how they do this, there's a big difference. So for example, there is a cloud management console where you can get connected to your different cloud accounts, and you can do the right sizing, do the different things with the environments that you have, like strictly with AWS, Azure, and Google, in a single console. But you cannot, for example, move the workloads from one service provider to another. You cannot build the distributed clusters. You cannot even deploy the clusters and scale the clusters, let's say, beyond the single availability zone of a single cloud service provider. Is it a multi-cloud management platform? Yeah, to a certain extent it is. But is it a truly multi-cloud management platform or a cloud agnostic platform? No, it is not.
Right.
Wasn't that what Kubernetes was kind of built for, Terraform, to being able to deploy anywhere and anything, just you don't care where it goes?
Kubernetes, I always bring this up as when people are saying why are you doing this and how are you doing this, is well, Kubernetes is there, right? Kubernetes is building this kind of abstraction layer. But the point is, what you still see is that a lot of folks are still using Kubernetes in one cloud provider. And when they then want to expand or migrate or transition to different clusters together, they're having a hard time. And it's easier with us. So, and it's not only about Kubernetes, right? It's also about like your traditional workloads, if that's a word, right? You're still with VMs and storage, etc. So we think it's a holistic thing. It's like you should take a look at the whole cloud setup that you're doing. But Kubernetes is an awesome example. It's a great standard. We support it wholeheartedly. Our multi-cloud Kubernetes setup is one of the best, we think. So yes, Kubernetes is a good way to get started, but we want to expand it to all.
It's actually funny. So let's take an agnostic thing like Kubernetes and let's lock it in a single cloud service provider and like, come on, guys, you have all of them.
Right, exactly. It's like you have these standards, so go use it, right? And that's what we do.
Multi-cloud. It's a hot topic, right? Everybody says, I want a multi-cloud. I don't want to be locked into one vendor. If you think about, I say 15 years ago, everybody was worried about vendor lock, right? So then you go to the cloud and, oh, I'm so concerned about vendor lock. I want to be, I want to go to any cloud provider. Mm-hmm. How many actually do multi-cloud, and how does it happen in some cases?
Oh, it's your favorite topic.
Well, I mean, there's always these numbers, right, of like how many companies do this and which percentage, but I mean, obviously.
What was that? Fell from the sky?
Yeah, and so the reason is everyone is doing this. And my favorite quote is from one of our customers we're talking to, and he's like, so I was like, how does, like, why are you using multi-cloud? And he said, well, it fell from the sky. The reality today is every vendor every provider, every enterprise is using multiple clouds today. It's just a matter of fact. There's new services coming out left and right, and companies are not able. They need to use different services from different cloud providers, with mergers, acquisitions, with different setups, you just see that, like, I don't know what the number is. 80% of something is like they're just using multiple clouds today. So it's a reality, right?
Yeah, and sometimes it's super funny when you have a conversations with the guys, with the customers or prospects, and they tell you, oh, look, we don't have multi-cloud. We have only, let's say, AWS, mm-hmm. and then. Yeah, but we also have a private environment. Yeah, and in certain regions where we don't have AWS, there is also Azure. And they're like, guys, you sure?
You sure you're not running multi-cloud? And in fact, multi-cloud sometimes happens by accident, acquisitions, right?
Yes.
You touched on it. We've talked about it, where all of a sudden you've got that other services that are offered in other cloud providers. Yes, we're here at AWS reInvent. Multi-cloud wasn't actually talked about by AWS until a couple of years ago, and then the realization is now they're connecting to it and integrating. Customers are doing it, ISPs are doing it, MSPs, like they're all pulling in all these different clouds.
If you look at the show, there's multiple talks. I mean, obviously by us, but there's also lots of other talks talking about multi-cloud.
It's only us talking.
No, I'm sure there's sessions on that.
It's a reality, right?
Yeah, it's a huge reality that they have the multi-cloud. Here's the other concern with multi-cloud is I want to talk about just a little bit. I know it's a big hot topic this past year. I see you smiling. Yes, we're going to talk about cost, right? The cost visibility from this multi-cloud in the deploying of different ones, now you're trying to visually see everything. How about Emma? How's that handled?
Yeah, I mean, yes, I'm smiling because I'm a technician and I always talk about like technical stuff and innovations and cool things and cost. Yeah. It's not always the first thing I think about.
So you talk. Right?
You want to take it?
No, please go.
One of you guys.
No, but the thing is no, joking aside, it's like it's a huge concern and it's one of the biggest topics that we're facing when we're like past the initial excitement. Okay, how do we integrate it? How do we make sure? And making sure you have a holistic cost overview of all the cloud environments and making sure everything is balanced out and you have a holistic view is essential. And we're doing this again with our cloud agnostic approach, so you compare things. We're really happy that we see with the FinOps Foundation, with the focus, the new standards, right? We wholeheartedly support this. Or going on that ways, but the point is being cloud agnostic is the key to this. Is like you need to compare things. It's like, okay, if I'm running Kubernetes cluster here and Kubernetes clusters there, there's all different things. You need to harmonize it. You have to have a holistic view. And a lot of for our customers is also the whole billing support, right? So you have a one billing cycle, one way to manage it, right? So that's really important for us.
Can you see the different clouds and the costs within the Emma console on how to do it and the different services that are available?
Yeah, true. Moreover, we can analyze this and we can predict how would your infrastructure look like, I don't know, in 6 months from today. And then we can tell you, okay, so this service provider is not the best option for you. There are cheaper service providers based on the workloads that you guys are currently running. So it maybe makes sense for you to consider to move your workloads, especially if you're running Kubernetes, which is like an agnostic tool. So why not?
Cheaper one, but getting back to the technical part, right? Also making sure that the performance is right?
I was just about to ask you.
You're moving things from one thing, and the performance is right, and the network setup is okay, right? So,
Sales guy, technical guy.
How does that take into consideration different regions? Because you just talked about performance, and some regions don't offer certain instance types or servers, VMs, however you want to call them. And they might be better performance in this region, which might be a further distance to my customer, but better performance network-wise for them in general.
Right, and it's funny, right? Because we have our underlying multi-cloud network that connects everything, right? So you, as a user, you can choose which cloud provider you connect to. And we've, funny-wise, what you start seeing is that in certain setups, it's actually as fast or even faster to connect to another cloud provider because it's a service in data centers, and they happen to be sitting just side by side. Yep. So a setup with two cloud providers might be actually more efficient. Yeah. No, the multi-cloud, making sure the performance is right, and the other thing is European company. There's a lot of like compliance parts also to it, right? Making sure everything. I'm from Germany, like everything stays in Germany, right? Making sure now these kind of questions. It's just we just provide the visibility, the tools to get this started.
So you take into considerations GDPR, all the security, all the requirements, access, data sovereignty that has to do in it.
Exactly.
I can select that within my console. I can limit where it can and can't be deployed. Okay. The other question I really got to ask is because it's talking about FinOps, and what difference is it, Emma, to the other FinOps tools that are out there?
So all the other all the other FinOps tools they do this recommendations, insights, right sizing, whatever. Emma also does deployment management, migrations, and on top of that, there is like a networking backbone. It's a funny thing about the networking backbone. Sometimes it's better for you to leverage this networking backbone to scale your Kubernetes cluster into the Azure cloud service provider, picking up the cheapest instance, because this instance is cheaper, like significantly cheaper than the networking cost.
I wouldn't even thought about that or take that into consideration.
Like this egress thing. Yeah. So sometimes it really makes sense.
The major difference for me is we again obviously the holistic view, right? So you can tag things not only in one cloud provider but tag things all over the place. But what we're really like trying to push on, right, and sometimes more successful than others, but we're really trying to push on is like, guys, don't only just report on FinOps, but make it actionable, right? Give recommendations and make it actionable. So if a FinOps practitioner says, these are the recommendations, give the folks who are then responsible of the infrastructure a button to click on and move the infrastructure.
Yeah, that's funny. So they get these insights and they're like, okay, there is a report. You're a DevOps engineer, so look, there is a report. You gotta do this. Right. It's like, okay.
I mean, FinOps is all about bringing these different organizations together, right? Of like collaborating on it. So
as an example, take one of the enterprises we work with, and super funny. To deploy one of the virtual machines, it takes like up to 4 weeks. And imagine there's like a report where you need to do the right sizing, where you need to delete instances. How many weeks would they spend on that?
Is that in public sector? Man, that takes a long time. We're virtual.
No, it's a heavy machinery, by the way.
I know. It does take a while to do that. The thing that you touched on is the actionable items. That's still the #1 thing that is very tough in not only in FinOps, the community, and if you even take FinOps out of the mix of it, in any type of company is performing the action. It takes a long time. Hey, I got to pass it. I have to trust this report. I'm bringing you this report. Now go do the work for it. Right? And now click the buttons, and allowing it to be done and take the concern out of the engineer that this can be done, my costs can be reduced, I perform the action, is a huge value.
It's a huge value, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's the organizations need to do it, right? We make it really, really accessible, really easy to do, but we just provide the tools, right? So the culture needs to be there.
And we automated this. There is a scheduler. You can automate all these actions.
Right.
Yeah, all these recommendations with the scheduler that we have.
Right.
So basically, you don't need that guy anymore to click the buttons. So just say, okay, if there is a recommendation,
If you
apply.
choose to, right? So
Yeah.
the default is not automating, but yes, you can automate it, and you can also do this within our. We talked about Kubernetes. We can also do this with our auto scheduler, and again. Emma is all around multi-cloud, so you can do this as like, okay, there's a cheaper instance, or it's cheaper from us from running this application on this other instance type on this other cloud provider, and we just spin it up and make it happen.
Now, sometimes people, they do funny things. So for example, imagine there is a big enterprise, they have their private environment, and they want to have this private environment and all the workloads there, and the sensitive data is there, and they usually have these overheads in the servers, in the hardware servers. And the other day, they met us and they realized, okay, they can scale out the Kubernetes cluster into the cloud, picking up the cheapest spot instances for the workloads when they have, I don't know, Black Friday, for example, and they don't need these overheads in the hardware servers anymore. So that's funny. We can also work like this with a hybrid environments, not like multi-cloud environments, but a hybrid setups.
Yeah.
Matthias, why is it important to enable the FinOps practitioners for multi-cloud environment, though?
We just believe in multi-cloud, right? We just believe is like we touched about this, like with Kubernetes, and like you should be able to access any kind of cloud provider. And we think, well, first off, do your FinOps practices in your environment, in your cloud provider. Great, we support this. Go, right? But don't limit yourself, right? Make sure that you are enabling into other cloud providers. Make sure that you're not limiting yourself. And again, if you're doing this cloud agnostic, you will not only see benefits of moving other cloud providers, but also architecturally, you'll see a lot of benefits of just making, reducing the overall complexity of your architecture, because you're building upon standards, you're building upon common practices, etc. So we just really believe, like, if you're going down that path, you will see a benefit either way, cost being one of them.
And can you imagine how many customers and the prospects with Matt where there were like stupid decisions like, okay, let's sign 7 years commitment contract with a single service provider. And then, I mean, CIO who signed this, he's not there anymore. And the company is a 100 years old company. Can you imagine how many CIOs would they have? And there's like still this commitment to a cloud service provider, and they cannot get rid of it, and they don't know what to do with that. And they decided to spin off the certain part of their business, and again, they cannot reach these numbers. And they reach out to us and they say, okay, guys, how Emma can help us? And this is the right time to actually reassess everything and start thinking out of the box. Okay, do we want to stay locked in a single provider forever, or we want to be agnostic and we want to leverage different providers based on the workloads that we have and business tasks that we envision?
One thing, just making sure that people get a right impression about Emma is like, while we're advocating for this cloud agnostic holistic view, we're also very deep, like we're at reInvent, right? So we really, if you use a specific AWS service and you're happy with it, great, right? I mean, we're not saying manage everything yourself, right? If you're happy with the
RDS,
manage Kafka, manage, right? Perfect, right? Go for it, right? But we're saying is like also take a look at the others. So we're making sure that what we call external services are really deeply integrated. So you have a holistic view, and if you're happy with that managed service, great. And then other parts of the application of your architecture you might want to make agnostic.
Are you suggesting maybe other services that they can utilize? So if I'm really happy with this, but then there's more of a cost savings and more of a benefit of a performance, or are you looking at that from a holistic view? From maybe just AWS, but also, hey, listen, take a look. There's some other opportunities.
There's always other opportunities. I'm not trying to advocate for a specific architecture.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, every
you're going to use what you use and how you use it.
There's a reality here, right? So we're not trying to like redo everything. Like build about common standards, make sure that and if you, for whatever reasons, right, are you happy with that service from that provider and that service from that provider, Awesome. We'll make sure everything is connected, it's secure, you have the visibility, the cost visibility, and everything is integrated. Go for it, right? But
on the other hand, if you use, I don't know, EKS from AWS, but you see there is like GKE from Google, and it's pretty much the similar service, and they're like, okay, it's cheaper.
Yep.
Maybe one day we can consider for, I don't know, testing environment. Right. So this is also an option, right? So we are not like enforcing this, but we provide people with options.
Yep.
Empowering cloud choices.
Yep. This is what we have on our back.
Oh, that's perfect. Customer obsessed, right? So if it doesn't work here, if there's better opportunities there. Before we wrap things up, I got to know, and I got to ask, like, how does it work for the install for Emma? How does it work? Like, say I'm interested for, right? And I want to put this in my environment. How quickly can I get set up? How quickly can I test it out and see if it works for me? And also to see my cost savings on it.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for that question. I love that because go up, sign up today. Just sign up. There's nothing stopping you, right? So we really believe. I personally really believe you should just test these things out.
Yep.
Like, listening to me at some trade show or something. Just give it a try for yourself, right? Yep. It's really easy to sign up. You get started. Really easy. I mean, obviously, we're happy to show you around. Now, what you will see is if you sign up is the self-service standard setup. We obviously do customized setup for enterprises, so it's really deeply integrated. But you can start just get going.
And if you're a cloud-native company, so everything is there from the very beginning. You just click sign up button, and you get all the services available. So, yeah.
Sign up, immediately available, good to go, ready to deploy, manage my environment, and test it out.
Right.
Well, Matthias, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Dimitri,
thank you.
Thank you. Everybody, you got to stop over to Emma's booth, 1382. They're here at reInvent all week. And yes, one thing they didn't mention is that they're demoing it. Come check it out. I mean, the install, the setup, it sounds pretty easy, cloud agnostic. Yes, we're here at reInvent, but there is multi-cloud environment. All right, everybody, don't forget to go to 1382. They've got an Apple iPad Air 3, a prize happening, QR code. They actually have the QR code at the booth, or you can get the poker chip. And trust me, these are cool swag for you as well. You can win a $10 Amazon voucher. If you win any of this stuff, do me a favor, screenshot it, share it on social media, do a hashtag LV reInvent24, also tag Emma, tag myself, whatever, stop by the booth for your prize. We're looking forward to an awesome week here. This has been, a cool experience for the Las Vegas experience at AWS reInvent. I'm John Myer for Myer Media. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, and notify because we're out of here.